Today I'm going to talk about adding and subtracting polynomials, which is 4 exceeds on your expressions assessment. Now, a polynomial is just multiple terms, more than one or two terms, added or subtracted together. And what you are going to be asked to do is to add two polynomials or subtract two polynomials and make it simpler by combining like terms. Now it is basically just like combining like terms. The one that's especially tricky is when you subtract polynomials. So you can be following along with the notes paper in front of you as I go through the examples. So this first part, this is a polynomial because there's 3 terms, and you're just going to add this one to the second polynomial. Now you'll notice that the terms have the same power, the same variable for each one. It starts with an x squared term over here, and an x squared term here, and then the next term, and then just a constant. And so this first one, you're just going to be adding together the things that are the same. You can leave it like this and just add it together mentally, or I'll show you how you can write it vertically in a little bit. So you have 3x squared from this one and positive 2x squared from that one. So altogether you have 5x squared. And then the next one you have negative 5x plus a positive 9x. So altogether you have positive 4x. And then you have a positive 2 plus a negative 7, which is negative 5. And then I look at this polynomial here and I can tell that I don't have any more x squareds, multiple terms with that. I don't have any other terms that also have an x, and I only have one constant. So it's all the way simplified. Now this next one is subtraction. And what you have to realize is that you take this polynomial, but it's kind of like subtracting integers. And so I have the first polynomial, and when I'm subtracting, I have to subtract every term in this polynomial. So I'll subtract 6m squared, I'll subtract negative m, and I'll subtract negative 8. Now, some people think that it's easier just to keep the whole first polynomial, change a minus to a plus, and change every term to its opposite. So this one becomes a negative, this one becomes a positive, and the last one becomes a positive 2. And now I can just add like I did the first example. So negative 5m squared plus negative 6m squared, they're the same sign, so all together I have negative 11m squared. Then I have 2m plus m. Remember, if you're adding just a variable, it means that you have one of those variables. So 2m plus 1m is 3m. And then the last term you have negative 4 plus a positive 8. Some of those will cancel and you get a positive 4. And then this last one, it's still subtraction, so some of you might be able to do this mentally. Subtracting a negative 6g squared is really like adding a positive 6g squared, but I would strongly suggest that you always change it so that you don't make any silly mistakes. So negatives become positives now, and positives become negatives. I'm just going to add a little negative symbol in between each of those. Now, if you wanted to rewrite this and add vertically, some people think that's easier. So 4g squared plus 2g minus 3, I'm just rewriting them, plus a positive 6g squared, and then it's a negative, so I'm just going to write a minus 4g, and this one's a negative 2, so I'll just write a minus for that 5. And now you can just start adding like you would with a multi-digit subtraction problem. So I have negative 3 here and a negative 5 here. All together I have a negative 8. And then I have a positive 2g and a negative 4g. So some cancel and I have a negative 2g left over. And then 4g squared plus a positive 6g squared. All together I have 10g squared. Now I could have continued to add these like I was adding the other ones, but you might find it easier or more difficult to write the two polynomials on top of each other.